What if something as simple as a comment like, "You look great," could actually make things harder for someone you love? Because when someone has an eating disorder, words don't always land the way that we intend them to. If you're supporting someone with an eating disorder, you've probably found yourself wondering, what do I say? What shouldn't I say? And how do I support them without making things worse? Because the truth is, this isn't always obvious. And even with the best intentions, words can land in ways that we just don't expect. This is based on lived care experience and trusted information. And it's here to support you, not to replace professional advice. So please take what is helpful and gently leave behind what's not. I'm a carer of someone living with an eating disorder, and throughout our journey, I've come to realise just how powerful language can be. Some words have helped my daughter feel really safe, connected and understood. And then there's been comments that, even said with the best intentions and with kindness, have made things much harder. I actually find myself becoming really aware of language. I'm paying attention to the kinds of comments that seem to help and the ones that seem to increase distress. And this isn't just something we've experienced. It comes up again and again in our carer support group that I run, because so many carers are trying to navigate the same thing. How do I support someone without accidentally adding to the struggle? And that's really what this conversation is about. Language doesn't just fill space in a conversation. It actually shapes how safe someone feels, and it also shapes trust. And it also shapes whether someone's going to open up or to shut down. For someone with an eating disorder, there's often a really loud internal voice as well. So that internal voice, it can be critical, it can be harsh, and it can be very convincing. So when we as carers speak, our words don't land in a quiet space. They land in the middle of all that harshness and that critical talk and that negative talk that's happening for them. And our words can either add to the noise or they can help soften it. To understand why this matters, it helps us to understand, first of all, what might be happening internally for our loved one. So there's a difference between the person and the eating disorder voice. And that voice, it can be critical, it can be controlling, and it can be very manipulative and very convincing. It might tell them they're not good enough. It might tell them not to eat, or it might tell them that their body isn't okay. And over time, that voice can become very real. Another important piece is that people experiencing an eating disorder often are highly sensitive to language. Things that feel small or harmless to us can feel really big or very personal to them, because their thinking and perception can become distorted. They might hear things differently to how we actually meant them. They might focus on certain words, or they might even interpret things more negatively. So we might think, oh, that's not what I meant at all. But for them, it's not about the intention, it's about how it lands. The language we're talking about here is very normal. It's what we hear every day. Might be something like, hey, let's go out for lunch. Nah, I better not. I'm being good today. Or it might be, I really shouldn't eat this muffin. I just feel so fat. Or, oh my gosh, I ate so much on the weekend, I'm going to have to burn it all off. And things are often said without thinking, and they're always with good intentions. But they can reinforce the focus on appearance. They can increase comparison, and they can create guilt around food or even validate the eating disorder. Small everyday comments can make a much bigger impact than we actually realise. Let's be honest, food and body talk is everywhere, and it's so normalised we often don't even notice it. But over time, it can reinforce guilt, fear, and rules around food. And food stops being about nourishment and becomes something to control. A really helpful change is this: all food is neutral. No good, no bad, just, that was really nice, I enjoyed that. And that helped food feel safe again. Comments often come from a really caring place, but they don't always land the way we intend them to, because the eating disorder voice can twist them. So instead of hearing, you look great, they might hear, I need to keep doing what I'm doing. My body's being noticed and judged. If I change, will people see me differently? And that can create a lot of fear and pressure, even when the comment was meant kindly. So instead, we need to gently shift towards connection by saying things like, it's really good to see you. I've missed you. I'm really glad you're here. Because connection tends to feel safer than appearance. And often, feeling safe and seen as a person matters far more than the comments about how someone looks. One thing I've personally noticed, and you might relate to this, is that people often assume that if someone looks better, they must be better. But eating disorders don't always work that way, because someone can look healthier on the outside and still be struggling intensely on the inside. And some people become incredibly good at masking that struggle. They learn how to smile, say the right things, and appear okay, even when internally they're still fighting really hard. So from the outside, it can look like everything is fine, but internally, they may still be carrying a huge amount of distress. This is often the hardest part. What do I actually say in the moment? You don't have to have the perfect words. The best thing to do is start with validation. Things like, that sounds really hard. I can see how upset you are. I'm here. For example, if they say, I can't eat this, you might respond with, I can see this feels really overwhelming. I'm here with you. And then pause, because sometimes your presence matters more than your words. Try to avoid arguing, correcting, and dismissing. Even when it comes from care, we can shut the conversation down. For example, instead of saying, that's not true, you look fine, you might say, I can hear how hard this feels for you. Or instead of saying, just eat, you might say, I can see this feels really overwhelming. I'm here with you. At the heart of all of this is one key idea: creating safety. Because when someone feels safe, they're much more likely to open up, be honest, and let you in. And safety doesn't come from perfect words. It comes from listening, staying calm, not rushing to fix, and helping someone feel heard. And something really important to say here is that support doesn't mean removing boundaries. you can still be kind, supportive, and understanding and hold clear boundaries. For example, I care about you and I'm here, but I can't support that behaviour. Because boundaries create safety, trust, and consistency. And in difficult moments, we often react automatically. So a simple tool for this is pause. One breath, 1 second, and asking yourself, am I connecting or am I correcting? There will be moments when you don't quite get it right, and that's okay. Because what matters most is how we respond afterwards. Sometimes that might sound like, I've been thinking about what I said. I'm sorry. That didn't come out the way I intended. And those moments of repair often build more trust than trying to say the perfect thing every time. Because they show your loved one that they matter, that the relationship is safe, and that it's okay to be human. If there's a few things to take away from this today, it's this. Words matter, connection matters, small shifts matter, and repair matters. But most of all, your presence matters. You are showing up, you are trying, and you're caring. And even when that doesn't feel like enough, that kind of safe, consistent support can matter more than you realise. If you'd like more support or resources, you can visit Nourish to Flourish using the link below. And if this helped you, please consider sharing it with someone who might need it, because the more we understand, the better we can support.